Mayday, 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 Air Transat 236. The right engine has flamed out. We're down to just a few hundred kilos of fuel.
It's the middle of the night, high above the Atlantic Ocean. An Airbus A330 with 306 people on board is losing power, first one engine, then the other. In an instant, the cabin goes dark. Oxygen masks fall from the ceiling. The crew braces for what seems unthinkable, a possible crash landing in the ocean. This is the unbelievable story of Air Transat Flight 236, the longest glide in passenger jet history, and how everyone on board survived against all odds. It was August 24, 2001. Flight 236 pushed back from Toronto's Pearson Airport bound for Lisbon, Portugal. The plane, a nearly new Airbus A330, just 2 years old, capable of carrying more than 350 passengers. At the controls, Captain Robert Pichet, a 48-year-old veteran with over 16,000 flying hours, and First Officer Dirk de Jager, 28 years old with nearly 5,000 hours. On board, 293 passengers, 13 crew, and a routine overnight flight ahead. With 46.9 tons of fuel, more than legally required, the aircraft climbed eastward over the dark Atlantic. The first hours passed smoothly, but hidden inside the right engine, a mistake made days earlier was about to change everything. Just before this flight, maintenance crews had replaced the right engine. During installation, a hydraulic tube and a fuel line were placed too close together. They seemed fine on the ground, but in flight, the vibration caused them to rub against each other, like sandpaper slowly grinding. Hours later, halfway across the ocean, the inevitable happened. The fuel line ruptured. Suddenly, thousands of liters of fuel began leaking, at a terrifying rate of 12 tons per hour compared to the usual 2.6. But the pilots had no idea. To them, the first signs looked like odd oil readings, low temperature, strange pressure, and decreasing oil quantity. Confused, they called maintenance control for advice. Nobody suspected a fuel leak.
Maintenance control, this is Air Transat 236. We're seeing abnormal indications on the right engine. Oil temperature is dropping, pressure is fluctuating, and quantity is decreasing. Can you advise?
Air Transat 236, Roger. Copy your readings. Stand by while we check.
Then came the first real warning, a fuel imbalance message. The right wing tanks were draining much faster than the left. Following their training, the pilots tried to correct it by transferring fuel across the wings. But here's the tragedy. By opening the crossfeed valve, they unintentionally made things worse. Fuel from the left side now poured straight into the leak on the right. The imbalance vanished, but the aircraft's total fuel supply was vanishing even faster. 10 minutes later, the crew realized they didn't have enough fuel to reach Lisbon. They declared an emergency and turned toward Lajes Air Base in the Azores, the only option in range. In the cabin, passengers noticed the dimming lights and anxious faces of the flight attendants. Some were told to prepare for a possible ditching in the Atlantic. Imagine sitting there in total darkness with children crying, oxygen masks dangling, and nothing but endless black ocean below. At 39,000 feet, 150 miles from land, disaster struck. The right engine failed. Captain Pichet pushed the remaining engine harder. But just minutes later, with only 120 kilometers left, the second engine flamed out too. Now both engines were dead. The Airbus had become a giant glider sinking toward the ocean. The cockpit went dark, instruments powered only by a small emergency turbine spinning in the wind. Without engines, the A330 lost all the tools pilots normally rely on. No thrust reversers, no spoilers, limited hydraulics, and no second chance if they miscalculated. Yet Captain Pichet knew how to glide. He had once flown bush planes and even gliders earlier in his career. With nerves of steel, he balanced speed and altitude, buying precious minutes. There was just one problem. They were too high, approaching Lajes. At 13,000 feet, only 8 miles from the runway, they had to lose altitude fast. The captain performed a desperate 360-degree turn over the ocean to burn off height. Passengers felt the sharp bank, unsure if this was their final descent. Finally aligned with runway 33, the A330 came in fast. Over 200 knots, nearly 60 kilometers per hour faster than normal. With no flaps to slow down, the landing would be brutal. The aircraft slammed onto the runway, bouncing hard, bursting 8 of its 12 tires. Sparks flew as wheels locked and skidded, fires ignited in the landing gear. But the plane held together. It screeched to a stop just 600 feet before the end of the runway. Within 90 seconds, every single passenger and crew member evacuated safely. Fire crews rushed in, dousing the flames. Against all odds, all 306 people survived. The glide of Flight 236 lasted an astonishing 19 minutes and 30 seconds, the longest ever by a passenger jet. The investigation later revealed the root cause: improper installation of the replacement engine's fuel lines. Training was also updated to better prepare crews for recognizing fuel leaks, and Airbus modified warning systems to give clearer alerts. The pilots were both criticized and praised. Criticized for not catching the fuel leak sooner, but celebrated for pulling off a near impossible landing. The Airline Pilots Association awarded them for superior airmanship. The story of Air Transat 236 is not just about a miracle landing. It's about the razor-thin line between disaster and survival, and how preparation, training, and determination can mean the difference between tragedy and a story that inspires the world. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button, share this video with friends, and subscribe to Aircraft for more incredible aviation stories. And don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss an update.